Welcome to Widowcast Podcast, where you learn how to find the strength to get through your journey and the skills to coach other widows. This is not your average grief group. This is your journey group. It just may show you the way to make something amazing come out of the emotional pain and trauma of widowhood. I'm your host, Joann Philomena. I'm the best-selling author of Widowed and Widow Coach, and I'm a professional certified life coach. Let the healing and your personal journey begin. Hello, my friends. Welcome back. This is episode 132, and today I want to talk about moving to Texas. And I know it might be kind of a strange topic for a podcast about being widowed. I wrote a blog about it today and realized there is so much value that I can share with you just on my own experiences of this. Is it unusual for a widow to sell her house and move elsewhere? Not at all. So many of my clients sold their homes and moved to be closer to their kids or to something smaller. Many widows make that decision within the first year, even though people will tell you, oh, don't make any big decisions in the first year. I don't agree with that, because I have seen widows again and again make big, sweeping decisions in their first year, and they've been solid, great decisions. So there's no hesitation about that. For me, selling my house in New York and moving was not my first big move. It was not the first thing on my mind after Jim passed away, because I was more about living that first year as if it were my last, because I had such an epiphany after Jim died, because he died at the end of a year. And I thought about if he knew that it was going to be his last year on this planet, would he do anything differently? And I realized that Jim wouldn't, because he always took from life exactly what he wanted. You know, he kind of lived his life exactly as he wanted. But it made me realize, too, that I couldn't know that next year after he died wasn't going to be my last year. And I wanted to make sure that I squeezed every bit of juice out of life in that year. Because by golly, if I could die tomorrow, I want to just suck all the marrow out of today. Do you know what I'm saying? So I was very intent on that. I was very intent on building my business as a life coach, leaving coaching in the corporate world. So there were a lot of other first steps that I was moving through. Selling my house was not immediate, but after a couple of years, I began thinking that there was really nothing holding me in New York now that Jim was gone. My family is in California. At first, I thought I wanted to get back to California where my family was. But as I examined that closer and closer, I realized that there were not good reasons to move to California. Although my family's an excellent reason. Yeah, to live within driving proximity of my daughter would be amazing. But California was not really the same state that I had left 25 years ago to marry my crazy New Yorker, right? And I realized that's not where I wanted to live. Then, a few years ago, I returned to Texas for the first time since I was 4 years old. All right, I flew into Dallas for a life coaching mastermind. And it was the oddest thing, because almost the second my plane landed at Dallas Love Field, I had this strange sense of coming home. And I knew, it's like I could feel it. I could feel it in my soul. I was home. I was home. And as I got my luggage together at the airport and got someone to help me find the area where I could find an Uber driver to get to my hotel, and going through all of that, I began to realize gosh, these people talk a lot the same way I do. And I realized, oh, I lived in Texas until I was 4 years old. I learned to talk here. That's why my vocabulary was a little different than my brothers and sister who were raised on the East Coast. Um, and it just felt so comfortable. So I began planning and taking steps to decide where in Texas I wanted to move to. But here's the thing, I wanted to be sure I was making this move for solid reasons. I didn't want to be doing this because I somehow thought that, oh, I'll be happier in Texas, or I'll be thinner in Texas, or I'll be richer in Texas, I'll be more successful in Texas, I'll be less lonely in Texas, on and on. All these thoughts we could have about going to a new place. Our actions are always driven by our emotions. I knew I could feel all those things right where I was. I just needed to work on my mindset. I needed to be aware of my thoughts. Because if I thought moving to Texas would make me happier, more successful, less lonely, that's just crazy because the only thing that can make me happier, more successful, less lonely, all those things is what I tell myself, what I'm thinking, right? So I wanted to be aware of those thoughts, and I wanted to make sure that I already completely understood that I could be happier in New York. I could be more successful in New York. I could be healthier in New York, right? And when I put my house on the market last spring, because I had checked out lots of areas in Texas, I found the city I wanted to live by. It coincided with the city I was living in New York, ripping up all the streets in my neighborhood to replace old gas lines that were becoming a risk. I remember I got up that morning and I opened up my living room drapes, like, ta-da, the signs out front. This is the first morning that I am on the market. And there were all these giant trucks and workers, and they were digging huge gashes in the streets. And I just thought, seriously? It was utter chaos out there. You know what? It was a gift. No kidding. It gave me an entire year to truly understand my own motivations. It gave me the entire year to teach myself how much happier I could feel in New York, how much thinner, richer, more successful, and less lonely I could feel in New York. Our emotions are a direct result of what our brain is thinking. Our thoughts actually produce emotions, including the chemicals our body produces and releases in response to what our brain is thinking. All the feel-good chemicals, all the depression chemicals, all the fight or flight chemicals, it all starts in our brain. So while I was still in New York, I could choose some better thinking. Because I knew if I told myself I'm not happy enough here and would be happier in Texas, then indeed I would not feel happy enough. I would not be happy in New York. Crazy, right? But absolute truth. I made sure I could feel all those really cool emotions I wanted right then. And that my reasons for moving to New York were solid, great financial and health reasons. And they were. It made sense to leave New York. I needed a house without stairs. I have severe osteoarthritis and multiple sclerosis, and those conditions were making themselves very clear about all the stairs in my house in New York. There are no state taxes in Texas, and it's a much better business environment for someone like me who is a solo entrepreneur running my own business. The weather is a better environment for me than the frigid winters of the Northeast, right? And I thought it was delightful that Texans were so sweet to try to caution me and let me know that on rare occasion they can actually get snow here. And yeah, the roads can ice. And I kind of laughed to myself because I thought, this is really cute. Because my one question to them was, when it snowed here last, could you still see the grass through the snow? They were like, well, yeah. And I said, I think I can handle it. Because when it snows in upstate New York, it could be 4 feet of snow at once that you have to wrangle with and get shoveled out of your driveway and away from your front door so you can actually get out of your house. So the weather was a big motivator to move from New York to Texas. When the next spring rolled around, after I had a year to do all that personal work, and I did it, you guys, this is not just lip service. This is not just the stuff I teach you. This is the stuff I apply in my life. And I seriously spent a year analyzing how I felt about New York, how I felt about Texas, how I could feel those things in New York, and understanding that I did have a good, solid list of reasons that I liked for selling my house in New York and coming to Texas. And I'm not giving you all the reasons. I think I had a list of about 20 reasons, and all made sense. So I loved my reasons for doing this. And it's a good thing I did, because it's not an easy thing to move across country. It's not an easy thing to sell your house, go through things, throw them away, hire a moving company, get everything packed up. Oh my goodness. Make sure you love your reasons for wanting to move. So when the next spring rolled around, which was this last spring, the universe was ready for me, clearly, because within 2 weeks I had multiple offers and sold my house in New York. And the perfect house in Waco, Texas turned up. I drove across this beautiful country of ours and celebrated as I crossed the border into my new state. I had been here a while, as many of you know, if you follow me on Facebook and been listening to this. I was in a residence in Marriott for about 3 weeks while I was waiting for all of the, contract things to settle out and be able to close on my new house in Waco. It was wonderful because it gave me those weeks to really begin to ease into Texas life and learn about Waco and find my way around. And then I closed on my house. I've been here for a couple weeks. But here's the thing. It hit me that now I can get as emotional about Texas as I like, and it serves me. Right? I was stunned to realize that even though I needed to be sure that I was making the big decision for all the right reasons and keep my expectations within reason, now I could let my emotions run high. Because they were running high about Texas. I'm wandering around Waco, Texas, just in awe, right? Just in awe of the weather, of how sweet people are here, everything. And now, here it is. I can think this thought, and it serves me well. And the thought is, I love everything about Texas. Right? And that's just one thought running through my mind these days. There's also thoughts like, people here are so gracious and kind and nice. These are sweet, sweet people, y'all. The food here is simply amazing and delicious. And by food, I'm talking about, yes, at the restaurants, yes, buying barbecue, but also just walking in the grocery store. And the produce is beautiful and amazing and tasty because it's not been shipped green across the country and gassed to ripen. I even love the summer heat of Texas. It feels so good to walk outside and let that heat just kind of sink into my body. Last evening, my new neighbor here, texted me and said, you know what, Brenda from down the street and I are sitting out on the patio. Why don't you come on over if you're not already in bed? And I think she even said, we don't look pretty or anything. We're just sitting around having a beer, which was perfect because I had already taken my bath and I was in my nightgown, and I went ahead and threw some clothes on and wandered over there, and we sat out on the back patio. It was like the most beautiful evening. Even though it had been 100 degrees that day, the evening was gorgeous, and sat out there chatting until about midnight. So, yeah, I even love the summer heat of Texas. So here is what hit me, you guys. I'm sure you've all heard about or read about the placebo effect that doctors study. If you have not, it's where they tell you that you're getting an amazing new medication, but it's actually a sugar pill, right? And because you believe you're getting a new miracle drug, your condition may improve just taking the sugar pill. That's the placebo effect. What does placebo studies have to do with Texas? Well, I'll tell you. I've decided Texas is my placebo. Yeah, you got it. Because I'm seeing everything here now as being so much better, so much more fun. Day to day living seems so much easier. My mind ruminates on that, and it is so because that's my belief. I'm walking through my house here in a state of constant amazement and gratitude. Truly. So, if those emotions, if the feelings of amazement and gratitude can actually create a state of better physical health, and there are many, many studies, many, many books written about the power of gratitude, even for healing physically, then yeah, Texas is even creating that for me. My delight and joy over each discovery here in Texas is off the charts, you guys. And I'm just going to run with it and continue to nurture that amazing emotional state because I'm home in Texas and Texas has won my heart. Texas is my placebo. What a great thought about a great state. You know, it may sound irrational now. It would have been irrational to tell myself this when I was in New York, right? It would have been irrational to think if I just sell this house and move to Texas, it'll fix everything. That's kind of an irrational expectation. But now that I'm here, I'm like, well, yeah, let's run with that belief because I'm here now. I'm in Texas. Why not run with that belief that Texas fixes everything? That Texas is an amazing place to live. And it kind of is, right? So that's my new state of mind, you guys. I love my new state. Everything is better here in Texas. Even the ice cream is better. What can I say? So I'm just going to allow it to be that way. I've even now created models for myself. And if you follow me, you've learned a little bit about thought models and coaching yourself, looking at your thoughts, how they create the emotion you're feeling, the actions you take are driven by your feelings. I've discussed the thought model and I've taught the thought model on the Widow Coaching Center site for my clients who are subscription members there. And we spend so much time working on the negative models, looking at the thoughts that are interfering with our life right now, thoughts that are not serving us, doing models on them so that you can clearly see that it's having an outcome in your life that you don't want because you're telling yourself these things. Right now, my job is I'm recording all the models that are serving me so well in Texas right now. You know, all these thoughts that are so uplifting and exciting and filling me with gratitude, I'm writing those models down. Because if I get up and have a bad day, I'm going to go back and read those models. I'm going to go back and think those thoughts. Like, why did it feel so wonderful to make this transition to Texas? Let's hang on to this. Let it feed my soul. Let it feed my levels of happiness and excitement about life. Let it feed my levels of success for my business here. Why not? So, what is your placebo? I'll give you a clue. It needs to be where you are right this second. You begin there, just like I began in New York last spring when my neighborhood was unsellable. And I had another year in New York, and I made that year be the sweetest, best year that I had in New York. You want to learn how to manage your thoughts and create the emotions that serve you? Go visit the membership site, you guys. It's widowcoachingcenter.com. Right now, membership is not open for new members. I'm serving the members I have and having a great time doing so. In about another month or so, I will be reopening the doors on that membership. So if you go to widowcoachingcenter.com and click the buttons to join now, it will open up a window that will let you put in your name and email to be placed on a wait list. Once you're on my wait list to subscribe to the Widow Coaching Center, you will get an email letting you know before anybody else knows. You'll be first in line to get in there and subscribe. So go do that. Go check out widowcoachingcenter.com if you are interested in learning more about this, how to do this, how to pick up the pieces and move forward into a future that excites you too. That's what it's all about. That's what I want for every one of you. I want you to be able to build a new future for yourselves. This is not moving on. This is not forgetting about your husband. It is about living your life and loving your life. Okay? I'll talk to you all next week. Get out there and find some joy in life. Hey, tell me, what is your placebo? I want to hear about it. Bye.